The astrology of October 2025 is looking much more favorable than it has been so far this year. And in today's video, I'm going to break it down for you to follow along so you can make the astrology of this month make sense for you based on your birth chart. If you're new to me, hi, I'm Mandy Rose. I go by the relational astrologer because in my video, my content, and in my readings, my goal is to help you have better relationships in all areas of your life by understanding the astrology and your birth charts. And today we're going to do both of those things in this video. So you're going to want to grab your birth chart because the first thing we do in my month ahead forecast is we're going to map it out on your chart. I'm going to tell you exactly where all the planets are going to be this month so you can follow along, especially if you're new to astrology. We're going to keep it very simple and you can see what planets are transiting what areas of your chart, and I'm going to help you make sense of that. And then we get into the good stuff. We are going to pull out our calendars. So whether you'd like to follow along with your Google Calendar or your traditional pen and paper kind of person, I'm going to go through date by date the astrological transits, what is going on, and what is the energy you can feel and experience throughout the month of October. That way, if you have something on your calendar that you want to move around to be more in alignment with the astrological weather, you can do that ahead of time. So you're going to want to grab your birth chart, grab your calendar, and of course, if you have your 2025 Astrology Alchemy journal, go ahead and get that out as well. If you don't know about this, this is the journal I write every single year. Now, it is not just a planner, it is a journal. This is a way in which that you can record what is going on in your life during the astrological transits. Now, I have journal prompts in here for you. I also have blank pages for you to take notes. We go through the retrogrades, the new moons, the full moons, the transits, the month ahead, and so much more. This is the 5th year I have done this journal. And so I always like to remind everyone if they have theirs and they kind of keep it on the side, this is your time during this video to pull it out, take note, fill out September, what you missed for the month previously while it's still fresh in your mind, and then make notes to fill it out for the major astrological transits of October 2025. So let's go ahead and get into it. Grab your birth chart. We're going to start out with the transits. As we start out with looking at October, let me give you some highlights before we even start diving in planet by planet. First and foremost, we are wrapping up eclipse season as we move into October. So we had the eclipse at the beginning of September with the full moon in Pisces. Then we had the second new moon in Virgo, the second one being an eclipse in the middle of September. And now as we move into October, by the 6th of October, we are going to have a full moon in Aries. That is going to be the official wrap up of eclipse season. So the first few days of October, we can still be dancing in the ecliptic energy, things still playing out. Remember in September with the eclipses, this is like going on a roller coaster and all you can do is put your hands in the air and enjoy the ride. And then when we get off, we have to make sense of our surroundings again and get reacquainted to life. And so that is really what October is going to be for us. Now, on a positive news, we are going to have the lovers of the zodiac, Mars and Venus, going into their home signs as we enter into October. Mars, we can see here, is already at home in Scorpio. And when we get to the second week of October, we are going to have Venus leave Virgo, where she doesn't particularly like to be, because that is all about being hygienic, being perfectionistic, being more organized, more disciplined, more detail focused. And that is not really conducive to love. But when she gets into Libra, our relationships are going to start thriving. So I do love that aspect this month. However, the hardest aspect is going to happen around October 20th. We'll get more into that when we get into the date by date breakdown, but I do want to kind of highlight and preview this for you. If you are Mars ruled or Mercury ruled, that means my Scorpio and Aries risings and my Gemini and Virgo risings, we are going to have a Mars Mercury conjunction on October 20th. Now, this is going to repeat itself when Mercury does go retrograde and backs up into Mars. So this month, we are going to have a kind of preview or a first initial contact or conversation with someone or something that is going to have to circle back around. And because Mars brings the argumentative aspects, we can definitely have some fiery words with people. So we'll get into that more later. We are also going to have a grand water trine in the sky, which you'll see as we start mapping it out here on the chart. So when we deal with a lot of water in the sky, that essentially means that our emotions are going to be heightened, our intuition is going to be heightened. However, our love and our compassion and empathy is also very heightened. So water trines can be very favorable, but they can also be very hard to deal with. And then also we are going to be dealing with a beautiful, beautiful aspect, a conversation between Venus and Jupiter right at the beginning of the month month as well. So we have this favorable energy that we get to dance with. So overall, October is not going to be nearly as stressful as the other months so far in 2025. So let's enjoy it. Let's start breaking it down with your birth chart. Now we're going to kick it off first with the sun. Remember, the sun always shines a spotlight upon something. It radiates energy upon us. If you go outside and you feel the sun beating down on your skin, it is impacting you chemically, right? Creating vitamin D. It is adjusting your mood. You feel the energy of the sun. Now, based on what zodiac sign the sun is currently located, is the energy that you are feeling shined upon you, spotlight put upon you. And within your birth chart, that is going to be the area of life that you see fully, brightly, totally illuminated for you to pay attention to during this specific season. Now, as we kick off October, we can see here that the sun is at 8 degrees of Libra. Now you're going to go ahead and draw here from 8 degrees of Libra all the way to 7 degrees of Scorpio. That is where the sun is going to journey from the 1st to the 31st of October. So the first part of the month until October 22nd, the sun is going to dance in the Libra area of your chart. This is the area of life that you are going to want to pay attention to, that you're going to see clearly, that you are meant to focus on, right? Because the sun really says here is the main area of attention. So focus in on the Libra area of your life until October 22nd, and then that is going to shift into the Scorpio area of your life. We are all collectively going to feel very Libra. It is Libra Sun season. I call it soulmate season. I have a theory as a relational astrologer and working with many, many couples and being super curious and interested in what keeps couples together is this theory that I have asked many of my long-term couples who've been together 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and most of them have their anniversary in Libra Sun season, meaning between September 21st, 22nd to about October 21st, 22nd, 23rd, depending on the year. And they've been together a really long time because their relationships were birthed, whether it's their marriage birth chart or their dating birth chart, with the sun in Libra. And so every single year when the sun comes back to Libra during September, October, this is soulmate season. So if you are single, this is a great time before the 22nd of the month to get out there, to mingle, to start dating. This is a great time of year every single year for you to plan your wedding. And one of my favorite readings is helping people determine their wedding date using the astrology in their favor, because that is the relationship that is being birthed at that time that will carry over through the rest of your life with that person. Then when the sun moves into Scorpio on October 22nd, Scorpio season is about going deep. It's about the taboo topics, about intimacy and being vulnerable and facing your fears. Of course, it's when Halloween is, because it's spooky season after all. So that is where the sun is going to be this month. So if you are a Leo rising, definitely pay attention to this because you are ruled by the sun. And so you should be planning your months through the astrological calendar, through the astrological sun seasons. Then we talk about the moon. So I'm not going to go through all the moon's transits because the moon moves every 2 to 3 days, but we are going to highlight the full moon and the new moon this month. So if you are a Cancer rising, you definitely want to pay attention to the moon. Where is the moon? How is it impacting your chart? You are lunar ruled. The Cancer risings have a very challenging astrological planning in their lifetime because the moon moves very, very quickly. So I love to dive in one-on-one with my Cancer risings and really help them figure out the rhythms of their life. But if you are just getting started, and for all of us, it is important to understand the new moons and the full moons and where they're happening in our chart and how they're impacting us personally, relationally, and then of course collectively. So the full moon in Aries is going to happen on October 6th, and that is going to happen at 14 degrees of Aries, meaning the moon is going to be full at 14 degrees of Aries, and the sun is going to be at 14 degrees of Libra. That is going to create the opposition. Now, important for us to understand that because Aries symbolizes me and Libra symbolizes we. And so every time we have a full moon in Aries around this time of year, it is going to highlight, it is going to illuminate the self. Our needs, our wants, our desires, are they being met in our partnerships? As the sun is focusing or telling all of us to pay attention to your relationships, the people that you are building connections with, bonds with, the people that you are giving up a piece of yourself, your autonomy, your independence to be in partnership with, this is the season to focus on that. And the full moon in Aries is highlighting, helping us remember our needs, our wants, our desires, and forcing us to bring it back into balance and to release, right? Full moons, the peak, the culmination, the apex point, release the relationships that are no longer serving us. And this is going to be a very important full moon because in 6 months, when we get to the new moon in Aries, when the sun dances through the second half of the astrological year and gets back to Aries, and we kick off the new astrological year on the spring equinox, we are going to have 7 and then eventually the moon, so 8 celestial bodies all piling up in the Aries area of your chart. So in 6 months, we are going to have a big new beginning, a new shift, a new timeline starting, and that is going to activate your life personally, wherever Aries falls in your life. And I'm going to make a whole separate video on this. So please follow along, subscribe, and come back for this video because we need to truly understand the journey of our Aries house, our Aries area of life that's been unfolding since 2017. And I'm going to break down all those chapters and where it's eventually going to peak and culminate in Aries season next year in 6 months. But this full moon is our point to kind of clear out and release anything. Last chance to break free from relationships that don't bring you beauty, pleasure, fairness, harmony, justice. And that full moon is going to be very important for us, especially for the fact that it's at about the middle degrees. So the most potent center energy of Libra and Aries, me versus we. And then at the end of the month, on October, let me get this date for you. On October 21st, we are going to have the new moon in Libra. The new moon in Libra is going to be happening at about 28 degrees of Libra. So check your birth chart. Do you have any planets at 27, 28, 29 degrees of Libra? If so, that new moon is going to impact you the most. New moons in Libras are all about new relationships, new partnership. It is a beautiful new moon to manifest love and money, to bring and draw people into your life that can benefit you, to create partnerships and contracts with people. So we're probably going to do a beautiful new moon ritual together in the Astro family over on Telegram. So if you are in there, make sure you pay attention to the date that we're going to pick together to do some manifesting, to do a little Astro family gathering for that new moon. If you are not in there and you want to join us, we have such a blast. I can talk more about that later. Now we're going to move on to Mercury. So Mercury this month is very active. He's moving very quickly and preparing for his retrograde. And I know it feels like we just got done with a Mercury retrograde, but time is accelerating. Time is speeding up. The astrology is telling us so. And so again, by the end of October, we are already going to be in the preview, the pre-shadow, the preparation for the next Mercury retrograde. So we can see here in the chart that Mercury, and let me move this, you can see it a little bit better. Mercury is at 21 degrees at the beginning of October. And so if you're following along and mapping this out on your birth chart, Mercury is going to be from 21 Libra. And by the end of the month, he's going to be at 1 degrees of Sagittarius, meaning that he is moving starting at the beginning of the month in Libra. So Mercury, our mind, your mind should be in the Libra area of your chart at the beginning of October. And then your mind is going to switch to the Scorpio area of your birth chart. And let me give you that exact date on October 6th. So very quickly at the beginning of the month. Again, that is the same day that we are having that full moon in Aries. And then when we get to the end of the month, on the 30th, your mind is going to switch and start focusing in on the Sagittarius area of your chart. And the way in which you are going to focus your mind and how you're going to speak and how you're going to express and how you're going to communicate is going to shift depending on the energy that Mercury is currently in. So we start out the month with our mind on our relationships, connecting with people, asking questions, solving problems, creating more harmony, asking for opinions, right? Very Libra Mercury energy. It's also an energy around contracts and diplomacy and negotiation and finding fairness in different situations regarding our relationships. But as soon as Mercury gets into Scorpio, it is such a different vibe. It is very deep. It's investigative. It's probing. It's uncovering and unearthing things. It's very, very researcher energy. And then when we get to the 21st-ish of the month, Mercury is going to enter into his pre-shadow. So we have a lot more to talk about that. But for all my Gemini and Virgo risings, again, definitely pay attention as your primary life coach. is going to be in pre-shadow phase. So traveling at the end of the month is not going to be ideal because we can see here that when Mercury enters into Sagittarius, he is going to oppose Uranus. And he's going to oppose Uranus in his home sign of Gemini. So not only are we going to have a Mercury retrograde that is going to always disrupt travel, disrupt technology, disrupt things, but he is going to oppose Uranus, who is in Gemini, who is the planet of breakdowns and technology glitches. So we have a very Mercury retrograde 10x energy coming for us during this holiday season. And so I definitely see some travel disruptions. If you're traveling to see family for the holidays, like this would be a year that I would say maybe stay home. Typically, we always travel for the holidays as my partner's birthday is in December and he loves to travel. And usually we go all over the world. We were in Switzerland, we were in South Africa, we've been in Costa Rica. This year, I said, no, we cannot go anywhere. We must stay home because I definitely anticipate some hiccups. And we'll talk more about that in the date by date breakdown. And definitely in the Astro Weather Report, you will get your daily updates and you will know the specific dates and what to pay attention to. Okay, we're moving on. We got a lot more to talk about. Venus, okay? Venus, the lover of the zodiac. If you are a Taurus rising or a Libra rising, definitely pay attention. This is your primary life coach. We can see here that we're kicking off the month with Venus gearing up to conjunct the South Node. This is a very big deal because South Node deals with past, where we've been, previous relationships, previous ways in which we value things, previous ways in which we've been spending our money or budgeting our money so far until this moment in time. And when Venus conjuncts the South Node, this happens once every year and every year in a different zodiac sign. So it's been 19 years since she's conjuncted the South Node in Virgo. And so this is happening right off the bat. We're talking the third of the month. And so this can bring up old relationships, cut cords with old relationships, cut things out of your budget, getting rid of subscriptions. Like we're already seeing that in the trends of the collective, but very big energy. So check the Virgo area of your chart. This is where we had the eclipses last month. This is where the area of life you are meant to overhaul, to release, to let things go that no longer serve, so you can free yourself and move into a new 19-year chapter. So Virgo energy is all about improvement, right? So we're really going to be improving our relationships or letting go of the ones that don't act of service to us. Now, if you're mapping this out on your birth chart, Venus this month is going to go from 14 degrees of Virgo to 21 degrees of Libra. So she is going to end up at the end of the month where Mercury was at the beginning of the month. So if you have any planets in the later degrees of Virgo or most of Libra, you're going to have a Venus transit this month. And we can talk more about that in a one-on-one session. I love to break that down. You go to the ephemeris, we find the exact date that Venus is crossing over that planet, or any of the planets crossing over something in your chart. We need to know, what day is that happening? Where is that happening in your chart? What does this mean for you? Are you ruled by that planet? There is so much that goes into a one-on-one session when I do astro forecasting for you, especially when we can dive into the nuance and the nitty-bitty details. I am a Virgo after all, each and every month. So if this is the month where you're like, wow, there is a lot happening, I need more clarity, I got you, just reach out. So Venus this month, she's going to be in Virgo for the first part of the month. Then she is going to move into her home sign, like I mentioned in the intro, on October 13th. Love this, because when Venus goes home, she is ready to really be in her pleasure. This is our feminine energy. This is how we want to receive. This is when Libra Sun season, soulmate season, turns up the dial. We go out with a bang from October 13th to October 22nd, the entire week. Venus in Libra, the Sun in Libra, really great for relationships, romance, flirting, getting out on dates, connecting with people, like just feeling wowed and dazzled by others. It is such a receptive, beautiful energy, and coming into peace and finding balance in our life and prioritizing the things that we value, and self-care and aesthetics and beauty and Ooh, such a great month. We will dive more in the Astro family, talking about how to really capitalize on that 1 week in October. So absolutely beautiful. But before then, before the 13th, she will be in Virgo. So we are really focusing and prioritizing how to make our life more beautiful when it comes to our health, our wellness, our daily habits, improving our overall well-being, those kind of things, creating rituals around the mundane things. So if you know that every single day, you have to go to work and you have to report to your boss and you have like a routine every day at work, how can you make it more beautiful? If you have your bedtime routine with your kids, how can you make it more pleasurable, more enjoyable, right? How can you be more creative? Because Venus is like, take the Virgo mundane, boring day-to-day tasks and make them enjoyable, make them feel really good. So work on that between October 1st and the 13th, and then we get into the relationship energy. Okay, moving on to Mars. So if you are an Aries rising, Scorpio rising, definitely pay attention as a Scorpio rising. I am so happy to finally have Mars back in Scorpio. This month, he is going to be in Scorpio the entire month. So if you're mapping it out on your chart, 5 degrees to 26 degrees of Scorpio. And this essentially means that Mars being at home here allows all of us. Mars represents our chi, our energy, our vitality, how we're moving through life. And in Scorpio, we are moving through with intensity, with strategy, with precision. We are willing to go the extra mile. Mars and Scorpio people are the most vital, highest stamina, highest sex drive people you will ever meet. And for the rest of us who do not have Mars and Scorpio in our natal charts, when this happens every 2 years for about 6 weeks at a time, we all get a little supercharged, a little bit more revved up. And so we're really going to want to capitalize on this energy. Mars in your chart says invest your energy here, make decisions here, move this area of your life forward. So look at the Scorpio area of your chart for that this month. Again, Mars is at home in Scorpio. Venus will be at home in Libra as of October 13th. So the second half of the month, the lovers are in their home sign. So beautiful polarity for the masculine to get things done, for us to be very strategic and high energy, but also want to lean back in our feminine and receive and go on dates and luxuriate in the finer things in life. So such a beautiful month for that as well. Okay, moving on. Then let's talk about Jupiter. So Jupiter always brings blessing, expansion, growth, opportunities. And we know that Jupiter has been in the zodiac energy of Cancer since June. So we see him down here at 22 degrees. Now, right at the beginning of the month, and we'll go more into this in the calendar, so I am just highlighting this for a second, we can see here that Mercury at 22 on the 1st is going to square Jupiter. And this is going to be a big deal because this is our mind squaring off with that energy to literally expand, to grow, to change our beliefs, to educate ourselves. So there is a lot of things that people are learning right now that is challenging their mindset. It is challenging their normal rhythm of thinking. And we're having to expand in higher conscious perspective. And there's a lot that goes into this energy. But this month, Jupiter will move from 22 degrees of Cancer to 24 degrees of Cancer. So he doesn't move very far, but he's gearing up to be in position to go retrograde next month, November 11th. Very important for us to understand this is the final month where we have our blessings, our opportunity expanding, growing, moving forward, the blessings, the gifts of Jupiter. Because when we get to 11/11, November 11th, all the way, and I believe I can give you this exact date, until March 11th, then we will be in a Jupiter retrograde. That is when it all dries up. That's when the gifts dry up, the abundance dries up, the expansion dries up, especially in the Cancer area of your birth chart. So you've already been given gifts. You've already been given opportunities. You've already been given the things, and Jupiter next month will be like, no more new. Work with what I gave you. Be grateful for what I gave you. So really expand yourself in the Cancer area of your chart this month. It'll be really, really favorable. And by the end of the month, we are going to start to see that grand water trine start building. And I'm going to draw that out for you in just a second. I think we need to finish each planet. So for my Jupiter ruled people, my Pisces risings and Sagittarius risings, definitely pay attention. You are very lucky by nature as a Jupiter ruled person. But when your primary coach goes retrograde next month, all that is going to dry up. So Enjoy it for what it is now, and we can all receive that in the Cancer area of our chart. Now let's talk about Saturn. Saturn retrograde, right? Saturn is retrograde this month. So Saturn is going to be moving from 27 Pisces back to 25 degrees of Pisces. So map that out in your chart. We know that Saturn retrograde forces us to go back and review the things that we have not done that we know we should be doing. This is our lesson learning moment where Saturn says, you know what? Can you be your own tough love dad? Can you set your own boundaries? Can you create more discipline? Can you create more structure? Can you have more routines? Do you know what is good for you? Can you do the things that you know you need to do to set up a foundation in the Pisces area of your birth chart, in that specific area of your life, so that you have these strong, stable foundations to build on for the next 30 years. Very, very important season for us. Now, when we have Saturn in Pisces this month, we are also going to have Neptune in Pisces. I'm going to get more into that in a moment. So the Pisces area of your chart had those eclipses last month. This is where the North Node of Destiny is. So in October, we are coming right back to what we were meant to be focusing on in the spring, where things kind of just fall away, right? That Pisces area of your chart is like, gosh, I was working on that. I was focusing on that. This lesson was coming up. These experiences were occurring, and they're all around that Pisces area of your birth chart. And then all of a sudden the summer happened, and it was like, not thinking about that anymore. It's not impacting me anymore. That's not bothering me anymore. And now here we are in October, where we just got out of the eclipse season, highlighting this area of your chart again. Saturn has come back to this area of your chart for a last little final course correction. And this month, Neptune is coming back as well. My Capricorn risings and Aquarius risings, definitely pay attention because Saturn is going to be activating very strongly this month. Then Uranus. Okay, let's go back to Uranus for a second. I know we kind of previewed him for just a second. Uranus in Gemini, also retrograding. He's going to retrograde from 1 degree back to 0 degrees. So he'll be hugging that 0 degree of Gemini area. And next month, he's going back to Taurus. So again, we can prepare for that Taurus area of our life to get one final shakeup, one final breakdown. So wherever that is in your life, we will talk more about that next month. But right now, Uranus is moving back in the Gemini area of your chart. This is the first time it's ever happened in your life, going back to that beginning point. So go back to the beginning of July, what was going on in your life at the beginning of July, what was activating as Uranus comes in and says, choose change. Liberate yourself, break free, be unconventional, be rebellious, do something different. This area of your life needs a breakdown to get a breakthrough, to overhaul it. And so this can be very, very impactful. And in the Astro Weather Report, so if you join us at any point in time, it is a monthly subscription. Everything is archived from previous voice memos. So go back to when Uranus went retrograde, and that specific date, I'll tell you right now, was on September 6th. Go back to that voice memo because I did a rising sign forecast on what you should be learning or what you can experience as Uranus is retrograding through the Gemini area of your chart. Very important for all of us to know. And that is going to apply mostly to my Aquarius risings, as you are co-ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Then we go back to Neptune. So let's circle back really quick. Big, big month for Neptune, because Neptune is going to cross the 0 degrees Aries back into Pisces. And if you know anything about astrology, you know that this 0 degree Aries mark, wherever that falls in your birth chart, but anytime a planet crosses that point in the sky, this is a karmic reset point. This is where we birth new in Aries and we end all things in Pisces. And so as Neptune goes back, he's like, hold on. Before we start our new life, before we get into the new timeline, before all these new things manifest, we got to go back and cut cords. We got to go back and get clear. We got to go back and make sure that our old dreams and our old visions and our old things are completely disconnected, because Pisces deals with the energetics. You may have moved on from a relationship, but you're still checking their social media. You may have moved on from your job, but you're still hanging out with your old coworkers. You may have moved on in a certain aspect of your life, but you are still checking and looking in the review mirror to see how far you've come. And this is going to be the moment, actually, when we get to February, but this is the season between Neptune going back on the 23rd of October to February for you to go back and cut those energetic cords, clear the mindset, reprogram all those subconscious beliefs, erase memories. Like, it is time for you to leave it all behind, because we are going into a new earth, a new timeline, a new reality. And this is going to be the moment you are going to start to feel the importance of that, as Neptune crosses that karmic reset point and asks you to go back and right the wrongs and clear the karma, and then help Saturn set foundations, set boundaries, anchor into your spiritual beliefs, anchor into what you know to be true. This is going to require everyone to get rid of their escapism tendencies, their poor habits, their negative habits, their self-sabotaging. We're going to see a lot of collective themes come up towards the second half of the month around pharmaceuticals, around drug rehabilitation, mental health therapy. This is the water energy, right? So we're going to be building up this grand water trine. And I keep previewing this because it's such a big deal, and we're going to come back to it. I promise we will come back to it. So for my Pisces rising, is very important as Neptune crosses back into Pisces. But for all of us in the Pisces area of your chart, get ready. By the end of the month, it is coming right back into focus as it was in the eclipse cycle back in the spring. And then we have Pluto this month, who is just kind of chilling and activating as he's hanging out over in Aquarius. So let's just highlight this really, really quickly. Pluto in Aquarius, he is parking at 1 degree of Aquarius, hanging out at this area of your birth chart. Over 20 years, Pluto will be transforming wherever Aquarius falls in your chart, in that area of your life. Usually it is not really recognizable unless other planets come in and activate Pluto, which will be happening massively when we get to January and February of next year. But right now we understand in the month of October 2025, on the 13th, which again, there is a lot going on the 13th, Venus moves into Libra, so many other things, but that is the same day that Pluto comes out of retrograde. And when Pluto comes out of retrograde, it's like, okay, we've dug deeper. We've went into the root system. We've revealed some things. We dealt with some fears. We dealt with some vulnerability. We looked into the skeletons in our closets. And now we know exactly what needs to be rebirthed or transformed or broken down or excavated or detoxed or purged, right? That's very Plutonian. So we're going to get into this forward momentum of purging and cleansing and detoxing and removing, right? Like literally severing and blowing up the things in our life. And this is where we start to see massive transformation start to unfold within ourselves and the collective, especially. So we'll start to see that shift again in the second half of the month. And then let's just finalize this real quick with the North and South nodes. So as we look at the nodes of destiny, the nodes of fate, North node in Pisces, right? This is the eclipses we've been talking about, and the South node over here in Virgo. So the North and the South node are at 18 degrees as we begin the month. They always move backwards. They're always retrograding. And so they'll be at 17 degrees of Pisces and Virgo. So if you have anything in that area of your chart, it'll be activated by the nodes this month. And so again, always remembering that the North node is the North Star in the sky, that we are being drawn towards that energy more and more as this transit occurs over the course of 18 months. And so we are being drawn towards being more Piscean, more Jesus-like energy, more faith, more belief, more spiritual presence, more awareness of our energetics, more awareness of the Pisces ruled areas of our life. So that is going to be our lymphatic, that is our circulation, that is our feet. It is going to be our mind and our emotional health, our energetic boundaries, our compassion, our empathy. All these things are very much what we're all collectively being drawn towards, but it's uncomfortable. The North node is always something that is opposite the South node of what we're used to and what we need to break free from. And right now we're trying to break free of Virgo energy, right? The South node in Virgo. So breaking free of perfectionism, analysis paralysis, needing everything to be just right, feeling stuck because we don't have enough information. We don't have enough details. So we just don't do anything. When Pisces is like, trust, have faith, follow your passions, believe in that Jesus energy, like not in a religious way, but like believe in compassion and empathy is always being more dominant than having enough facts or enough details and being of service. And so that is playing out in the background. The Pisces and Virgo area of your chart, of course, is the areas of life that you are releasing from to move towards the Pisces area. And then Chiron, last but not least, Chiron is the wounds that we're feeling, the wounds that we're experiencing. long journey of him hanging out in the Aries area of our chart. He will be super activated, like I said, when the 7, 8 planets all come into Aries during the astrological new year next year. But he's just hanging out here, 25, retrograding back to 24 degrees of Aries. So check your chart to see if you have anything about 24, 25 degrees of Aries. Chiron will be active this month as the planets move through Libra. You'll see here Mercury is going to oppose Chiron, then the Sun will oppose Chiron, and then when Venus gets here, she will oppose Chiron. And so there's some opposition, there's some wounding that's happening. And then obviously that is coinciding with the full moon that's happening, obviously from Libra to Aries. And so there's a lot of reflection throughout the entire month of what wounds am I carrying, Aries, from childhood, that are holding me back from getting my needs, my wants, and my desires met, and also from allowing me to show up in partnerships in ways that feel beautiful and pleasurable and enjoyable. And so there is a lot of work or triggering that is going to happen that is going to require us to do the work to become the best version of ourselves, to save ourselves, to heal ourselves so we can show up as a fully present partner in our connections. And so again, soulmate season, but the entire month of October is really going to activate that Chiron wound to show up better for ourselves and better for our relationships. And as a relational astrologer, I am so excited to see that play out and to help guide you through it, which now we're going to talk about that grand water trine. But I do want to say that as a relational astrologer, because we are in soulmate season, my cosmic download reading of the month is going to be compatibility readings. If you don't know what that is, every single month I put one reading theme on special. And so you get it for a discounted price for $99. You're going to get this month, if you want to take advantage of the cosmic download, it's going to be a compatibility reading between you and another person. And that can be romantically, it can be professionally, it could be you and your child, it could be you and your roommate. Maybe there's someone special in your life that you want to see if you are compatible or how to get along. This isn't a reading where I tell you you're meant to be or not. This isn't a reading where I tell you you're great together or not. This is a reading where I'm helping you fuse your energies to build the best relationship with each other, to see each other, to help each one of you understand the other person. I don't do synastry or compatibility in the traditional sense of astrology. I literally help you understand your energy and their energy and how do you fuse this together through your birth charts. And so that is going to be my special for the month. You want more info on that, you can check the description box, but I only do a limited amount. I do about 20 a month as they are discounted readings. And the best part about it is you will have an opportunity to ask me questions, and then I will pre-record this and email it over. So we don't even have to schedule any time. And you usually get it delivered within 48 hours. So if there's someone in your life that you want to understand how to improve your relationship with, cosmic download of the month for October is going to be compatibility sessions. So with that being said, it's going to be very important because I just mentioned the Chiron, right, being opposed, the full moon in Aries, we versus me, and the fact that Venus is in the home sign of Libra, which is about compatibility. It is soulmate season. And let's go back to the fact that we're going to have a grand water trine. And in astrology and in most religions, if we see the number 3, the Holy Trinity, we know that something special is happening. If an energy is repeating itself 3 times, as in a retrograde, if we have 3 planets coming conjunct, if they're happening at 3 degrees, we know to pay attention. And so trines are when we have 3 different planets in each of the 3 zodiac signs tied to the same element. And so this month, we have a grand water trine, meaning all the planets that are going to be in Scorpio, which we can see here is going to be Mercury, it's going to be the Sun, and it's going to be Mars. And eventually it will be Venus. And so all the planets moving through Scorpio will activate Jupiter in Cancer, right? Water energy, going to activate Saturn. Let's draw this a little bit better. It's going to activate Saturn and Neptune, since Neptune is also heading back to Pisces, water energy. And so that is going to create that trifecta of energy. Now, for each one of us in our birth chart, wherever you have the 3 water signs, Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer, these areas of your life are always in flow, the triangle, the trifecta. And I'm going to talk more about that in the Astro Weather Report. So if you're in there, we're going to talk about that mid-month and these 3 areas of your chart. And I'm going to go through all the rising signs to help you understand it. They're always in communication because they're all connected energetically to the same element. But when we have planets move in and activating, there's a story to be told here. And that story is going to really be the Jupiter-Saturn square, creating boundaries while we're trying to expand and change our life. A lot of family relationships, a lot of home and family connections. So people moving and families rearranging and all different things, boundaries coming up with the scorpionic energy. This is about emotional depth, emotional intelligence, your intuition, protecting your energetic boundaries. This is about Scorpio energy, going deep with your fears and your vulnerabilities. I foresee a lot of relationship challenges coming up in the second half of the month. And so again, the cosmic download is going to help support you, but this is a very emotional time for us, but also a very psychically intuitive time. So I can see this Halloween season, or working with an astrologer or a psychic or a tarot reader or someone who's very intuitive is going to be very fortunate for you. Like their spiny senses are going to be plugged right into the divine. And if you want a channeled message or you want to work on your own intuition, this is the month to do it. And I'll give you those specific dates when we get into the calendar forecast. Okay, let's regroup. That was a lot. Now we're going to go into your Google Calendar. If you want to follow along, I go date by date and I color code it as a Virgo to help you understand the energy you might be feeling and to what degree. Now, before we move into October, I'm going to highlight what the energy looked like in September and August. You can kind of see where we've been. You can see here in September, we had actually a good first 2 weeks of the month, but then it got really sticky, right? We know about the politics and all the things going on in the mainstream media and the collective and the globe. We know it's been very rocky, but we've had a little break. Do you feel like moving into October, things have settled down a little bit? You're not feeling as anxious. Things haven't been as chaotic. Because as we moved into October, the last 5 days of September, we were just kind of getting our groove back. And then when we go back to August, look at August. We had a lot going on in August. Almost every single day, we had lots of beware days, which are orange days. The red days are like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Don't know what to expect. Be kind of aware. And then we had actually a few lucky days. So there was a lot going on in August compared to September. September had everything piling up here with the red energies. Before we move in October as well, I do want to kind of give you a little preview of what the color coding means. So for any of our lunar days or solar days, meaning the day that the sun or the moon has something activated, it will be yellow. So new moons, full moons, and the changing of the sun seasons. Our purples are going to be transits. So when a planet moves from one area of your chart into a new area of your chart, from one zodiac sign to another, that will be indicated by purple. If we have orange, orange is a beware day. It's like, okay, something big could be happening here. And red is like, oh, yikes, not loving this. It could be completely volatile or chaotic. Then we have our green days. Green is lucky and prosperous, something we want to mark on our calendar that we know we want to work with. The pink days are beautiful, pleasurable, great for romance, great for partnerships. Like we love, love, love some pink days. And then transits, as far as retrogrades go, are going to be marked with this dark blue energy. The regular blue color, this lighter blue, is like, I don't know. It could go either way. Don't really have a big opinion on it. It's just kind of happening. Ride it if you want, ignore it if you want. Okay. With that being said, let's get into October. We're going to go date by date. So starting out, like I mentioned at the beginning of the month, on October 1st, we are going to have the Mercury square Jupiter energy. So Mercury is going to be in Libra and he is going to square Jupiter in Cancer. This is a big deal because Jupiter really helps us expand our mind, but we can be a little overly optimistic, a little cocky, and then we're using our words and we're expressing ourselves in ways that makes us seem a little extra, a little extravagant. So be careful with your words on that day. I definitely think that we can have some favorable energy here, but because it's a square, it could bring up some tension. So I'm going to make it orange because some people might just be a little too extra and we're going to need some emotional intelligence. Definitely having a lot of communication with family members, as Jupiter is in Cancer, so be aware of like tough conversations, making future plans. Definitely something to be mindful of, as our mind can be very like busy with that Jupiterian energy. And then we have a day off, and on the 3rd, Mercury is going to oppose Chiron. So again, Mercury's in Libra and he's going to oppose Chiron in Aries. And I mentioned that when we were going through the birth chart because a lot of planets are going to oppose Aries and Chiron specifically. So think of like tough conversations, feelings being hurt, people being triggered, people being a little angry or aggressive, specifically around our romantic relationships as Mercury is in Libra, but definitely professionally as well. So we just want to be careful with our words, be careful with what we're saying, remembering that everything you're putting out there is being expanded by Jupiter. So you could just be saying one little thing and it's being blown out of proportion or blown up way too much. So just be very cautious verbally through the first few days of this month. But then we get into Saturday, and Saturday is when we have Venus conjuncting the South Node, right? As she conjuncts the South Node, she is then going to oppose the North Node in Pisces. And so this is going to be a day where we can see a lot of relational shifts. What we value, what we prioritize, what matters to us could be kind of like being highlighted or taken away. So people kind of ending their relationships, severing their contracts, people canceling subscriptions, people changing their budgets and what they value and prioritize with their money and their finances. We're reflecting and asking ourselves, what do these relationships bring to the table? It is in Virgo, so we're going to have to cut away old habits or old tendencies, specifically patterns in relationships that aren't working, breaking out of our routines to build more wellness, to build more pleasure in our life, a lot of closure. We do have a lot of exes coming back during Mercury retrogrades, but I definitely can see a lot of exes coming back during this season to, again, cut the cords and let it go. And so I really want to make this green because I do think there's some favorable energy with this. It can be uncomfortable, but I think whatever is meant to happen, because the nodes of destiny force it upon us, whether we like it or not. So it's kind of just happening to us. And that whatever we release is going to lead to more beauty, more pleasure. It's going to feel good on the backside, but it can feel a little uncomfortable in the moment. So then we get to the 6th. On the 6th, we've got two major astrological weather events. The first one is that Mercury is going to move into Scorpio. And as Mercury moves into Scorpio, again, this is where our mind becomes more investigative. Scorpio is about digging deep. It's about going into the depths of something. And our transits, we always make this dark blue color. So as we do that, just know that people are going to be getting to the bottom of things. This is going into a very psychological strategy based mindset. Words are going to be used as weapons, a very intelligent energy. So make sure that you are using the cerebral, cognitive, heightened energy to your benefit. You can gain facts, you can gain information, very deep exploration. I think people are going to be very much into conspiracy theories and rabbit holes and truths being told left and right. So no one is going to get away with anything from October 6th until the 29th with Mercury in Scorpio. On the same day, though, we are going to have the full moon in Aries. We kind of highlighted that already, illuminating relationships that have to go. Where are they done? They've reached their peak. That's not going to get any better or more favorable. And we're kind of releasing and letting go. We'll talk more about that in the Astro Weather Report when I do my full moon recap. Then on the 7th, Mercury, again, now he's in Scorpio, fixed energy, the fixed area of your chart, and he is going to square Pluto in Aquarius. So this is activating the fixed areas of our chart, something we've also talked a lot about in the Astro Weather Report. The fixed areas of your chart are Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus, and they've been getting overhauled. They've been getting unstuck. They've been getting you prepared for the new earth, the new timeline, the new reality of your life that is coming next year. So with this energy, it is Pluto. And we're going deep. And so I'm going to make that an orange energy because we want to be where. We want to be where. This is where I think people are going to be releasing pent-up emotions, things bubbling up to the surface. I think that there's going to be exposés, secrets being revealed. I mean, it's right around this full moon energy. So yeah, the first week of October, we want to be very mindful with our words. If you've got something to say it, but know that there might be some consequences. Truth tellers, truth seekers, very interesting. Stay glued to the news if that's your thing, because things are going to be coming out and a little buck wild with Mercury entering Scorpio. Then on the 8th, we've got Venus sextiling Jupiter. Love this energy because these are our benefics of the zodiac. We've got Venus, who brings love and beauty and pleasure and attracts and magnetizes. Jupiter, which expands and blesses and brings gifts. Virgo and Cancer energy is about being of service, family members, people that feel safe, creating more structure in your their life. Beautiful energy. I meant to make this pink. Let me go back and make it pink. It is definitely a pink day. I mean, it's like between pink and green. If I could do both, I would do both. But I think we definitely need to have a little pink on our calendar. And so this is a great day to let beautiful things happen to you. Do kind acts of service for people. It will literally bring you so much reward, as Jupiter will gift you with that. Think of like improving your home. Great day for DIY projects. Great time to invest in your health, as Venus is in Virgo. Return of investment on your health is going to be 10x. So for example, you decide to make a large purchase, like purchasing a sauna, investing in supplements, going to a holistic practitioner, anything that you invest in when it comes to your health habits and routines. During the 8th or around this time, Jupiter will bless you and bring favor to this. So thinking a massage, a spa, signing up for a package at a wellness clinic, like great season to do it. Then we had a couple days off and we get into October 11th. So Venus, again, in Virgo, but now she's going to oppose Saturn in Pisces. We know that Saturn tells us to get our shit together. Saturn is the disciplinarian, our tough love dad. And so this is, again, he will reward us or he will punish us. And he's over there in Pisces, who is about clearing out patterns, cutting things away that don't serve, making sure you're protecting your energetic, emotional, and mental health. And so if we don't invest in the things, Jupiter, who can expand it, then we are going to reap that karma very quickly. So this is, for example, I work at a wellness clinic. So I'm going to use this as a prime example. Venus in Virgo says, work on and beautify your health. Do things that make you body physically feel more pleasurable. So let's say you have acid reflux and you've been throwing up and you've been feeling really uncomfortable. And on that day with Jupiter energy, you could have worked that in your favor and returned the reward of Jupiter's blessing and gift by going to a holistic practitioner or going to a holistic doctor. But you said, no, I'm not going to do that. It's too much money. I'm not going to invest in myself. And you didn't get the Jupiterian gift of finding that practitioner and getting on the right track and feeling better. All of a sudden you wake up on the 11th and it's so bad, you think you're having a heart attack and you go to the ER and now you have to spend triple the amount of money and you still don't have answers. Saturn says no. Saturn is the tough love dad. You should have learned your lesson. You should be doing the Venus and Virgo things. The South Node is in Virgo, right? The South Node is in Virgo. And so we should be cutting away old habits, old routines that are not serving our health. And now Venus is here saying, you got to beautify it. You got to take the risk towards the things that are going to make your life feel more beautiful. And then Saturn comes in and opposes Venus on the 11th and says, nope, here is your reward or here is your punishment. So I think relationships are going to have a lot of challenge as well. That's just a health example, but Venus also rules relationships. So it might be a day you have to set boundaries, might be like, not a good time for proposals, for asking for a raise, asking for a promotion. This is going to build all week. So just know that Saturn says nope, and either rewards or punishes. And the 13th is when we have Pluto coming out of retrograde, ends his retrograde. This is a season now where we're going to be able to do the work towards the transformation. Oh, sorry, I just recognized that I did not make this transit the right color. This is supposed to be the purple energy, and the retrogrades are the dark blue. Okay, so this is now with Pluto coming out of retrograde, going direct in the Aquarius area of your chart, activating some transformation. Usually we see this more on a global collective scale than on a personal scale. And then also on that day, Venus gets very active. This is where we start to see Venus kick off her kite energy. You'll see what I mean in just a second. She enters into her home sign of Libra and starts having major conversations with the other planets. So what are those conversations with the other planets? Well, first and foremost, on the same day, she's going to immediately oppose Neptune. And as she opposes Neptune, who's in Aries, remember, going back into Pisces, this is where we have to really reassess a creative passion project, something that is meaningful or valuable to us. We want to be very careful that people aren't scamming us or deceiving us. This is definitely an energy of scams or deception. Neptune likes to glamorize Aries, the self. So we might be trying to think that we're better than other people. We might be over focusing on ourselves, and Venus is in Libra now. And so it's like, no, we are coming together. We are going to find balance. We're going to find fairness. We're going to find justice. It's going to be more pleasurable to do that than to glamorize and put yourself on a pedestal. So it's like a really big check-in moment in our relationships. But from there, things get a lot better. But from there, Venus is going to get actually into a grand air trine. We didn't talk about this before, but we will be bringing it up more in the Astro Weather Report, because Venus in Libra air is then going to trine Uranus in air. And Uranus is in Gemini, right? And so Venus and Uranus together is sudden abrupt changes, unexpected things, breakdowns for breakthroughs. And I definitely think this is an energy that could go either way, but I like it. I think it is so great for spontaneous dates, unexpected meetings. It is soulmate season. So I think a lot of people could, like, all of a sudden in this week, meet someone that is very destined for them in business and romance, to help them aspire to a goal. Because at the same time, Venus will then do the same thing, and she will trine Pluto in Aquarius. And we know that Pluto is always trying to help us transform, trying to help us move into a new timeline. So Venus and Pluto and Uranus all together can bring breakthroughs, can help relationships get to the other side of the discomfort of being more vulnerable. And remember, we already had the Sun and Mercury in this grand air trine last month, so we'll reflect on that. And then we kind of just get this Venusian Libra energy, relationships, partnerships. It's like, it's just good. Maybe a little like unexpected with the Uranian energy, but I think we might have some very favorable meetings or breakthroughs in our partnerships. All of a sudden, if you're like a business owner, all these clients could start flooding in, or all of a sudden you could meet someone that has a brilliant idea and they help you get like something off the ground that you've been wanting to do. I really like it. And then on the 17th, we've got the Sun in Libra, the last few days of Libra Sun season, square Jupiter in Cancer. Now, this energy we want to be cautious of, because again, Jupiter blows things up and blows things out of proportion, and the Sun highlights things. So this is a day definitely where people could be very like egotistical. It might kind of make people be overly charming, overly flirty, people overextending themselves. Again, this is Sun in Libra. So we're saying yes to all the relationships. We're committing to too many people. We are trying to get our way by flirting. And yeah, it's definitely like a lover boy energy, or this could also be like a female energy who's like trying to go on 3 dates in one night. So just, it can be literally too much. So just be cautious of overextending. And at the same time that's happening, again, the Sun is going to oppose Chiron. So we keep bringing up the fact that all these planets in Libra are going to oppose Chiron in Aries, bringing up some wounding, right? Bringing up the wounding. So it's like all of a sudden you're trying to like get into a partnership with someone, or you're trying to work through something with someone, and all of a sudden they're acting so flirty and so charming. And you're like, hold on a second. That's not actually what I want. These are what I need. These are my boundaries. Like, we're having to assert ourselves. And instead of people pleasing or going back into our childhood wounds, I definitely think a lot of people are going to be in like their attachment level, like wanting to attach and like being over invested and being over committed, and like not remembering or asserting their own independence and autonomy, because we are just wrapped up in all that Venusian Libra energy. So this is like a sudden unexpected meeting, and you're like, oh my God, this is the best person ever. Like, I want to go out with them. I want to spend all this time with them. And then it starts wounding you when they're not texting you back, or they're not confirming plans. Or all of a sudden you meet all these people that like are great at business, like in a networking situation. And all of a sudden they're like, you're seeing their true colors. And it's like, is this too good to be true? It's not that it's too good to be true. It's just like you're remembering not to lose yourself. This is a day of remembering not to lose yourself in others. And on the 18th, Mars in Scorpio, trining the North Node in Pisces, is again activating that water trine, right? That grand water trine. And this is going to be an energy where we're able to take action. Mars takes action in a transformative way, with a lot of passion and intensity towards the things that we desire. And Pisces is the vision, the dream, the magic. It is a day to create magic. It is a day to go after your dreams. It's a day to be delusional and be very hopeful, and like plan something on this day that is going to help you get to that like the Lulu level of achievement, right? You want to build something, you want to create something, you want to meet the partner of your dreams, like get out there and do it. Take steps, take action. Because Mars and Scorpio is like willing to do it, willing to face your fears, willing to go deeper. And that's really going to happen like late at night and into the next day. So we're going to be feeling that all weekend. On the 20th, this is a big day. This is when Mercury and Mars conjunct. So I'm going to do Mercury conjunct Mars in Scorpio. And this is going to happen. I'm going to give you the exact degree because you want to check your birth chart. This is going to happen around 18, 19 degrees of Scorpio. This is a really big deal. So we are going to make this red, definitely red. Definitely something we want to pay attention to. Not that it's necessarily bad. So don't think because it's red, it's bad, but it's definitely something that is very impactful because Mars is here and Mercury is catching up to him in Scorpio. Mercury is getting into pre-shadow, meaning this is the area of the sky he's going to retrograde back to. Mars is going to keep going. Mercury is going to keep going, and then he's going to retrograde back into Mars in Sagittarius next month. Big deal, because Mars is a lot of energy and a lot of stamina, and Mercury is the mind. And this is like words as weapons. This is argumentation. This is impulsivity. This is people really, really strongly vocalizing themselves. The mind is like their sword and they are like slicing and dicing you. Not a good day to be in court, not a good day to argue with someone, not a good day to have a debate, not a good day in general for disagreements because people can be verbal arsonists. And I think people are going to be lashing out on social media. I think people are going to be drugged through the mud. It's a very provocative energy. Big Monday for news days. Big Monday for news days. And I would just avoid any kind of conflict in your professional life or romantic life around this time. Because then on the next day, we are going to have the new moon in Libra. And this new moon in Libra is going to be happening at 28 degrees of Libra, the final days of Libra Sun season. And this is an energy to, again, manifest Libra stuff. Beauty, pleasure, harmony, relationships, partnerships, favorable contracts, building connections with people. So we will definitely do a ritual together, like I said, in the Astro Weather Report. And this is also the same day that Mercury begins his pre-shadow. This means he is going to be at 25 degrees of Scorpio. And this is where he's going to retrograde back to when he ends his retrograde at the end of November. So when we look at this in general, we know that this is going to be a season that anything that happens from here forward, we're going to have to circle back. We're going to break down Mercury's journey from the 21st all the way until he gets back to where his retrograde begins in the middle of December, because he's having so many conversations with so many planets. There's a mental review. There's a mental shift. There is a lot of new information. There's a lot of cerebral processing. Like you're going to have 2 months of just like our brain being like completely reprogrammed. So lots to discuss in preparation for that. Now, you think we're done, but we're not. We're getting to the final week of October where things get really interesting because on the 23rd, we are going to have the sun move into Scorpio. Scorpio sun season, spooky season. This is a great time for people to tap into their intuition. The mind goes into the spiny sense of Scorpio. These people are great investigators, great researchers, getting to the bottom of things. This is a season where it's very important for us to understand that we are going to be challenged with things that we're afraid of. Going deeper, having more vulnerability, exposing things. Like this is such a detoxification season as Scorpio likes to dive deep and below the surface. Very emotional season as well. Now, when the sun moves into Scorpio on this day, okay, when this happens, it's going to activate that grand water trine again. And we are going to have dark moon Lilith, Mercury, Mars, and the moon all in Scorpio. Big deal to start off Scorpio sun season with 5 planets in Scorpio. So heavy scorpionic energy. And it's also the same exact day that Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces. Again, water energy. So like all of a sudden on the 23rd, it is like water, emotions, intuition, connection, empathy, compassion, like feeling and sensing everything. A very spiritual season as well. So Neptune moving back into Pisces, the Pisces area of your chart being rearranged. We talk a lot about that in the first half of this video, so we won't get into that here. One more thing happening on the 23rd, and this is where Jupiter, who is in Cancer, is going to square Chiron in Aries. So again, Chiron activated again. Now, this one we may not notice so much personally, but again, it is expanding our wounds. It is Jupiter blowing up these wounds, these attachment wounds, these childhood wounds, the wounds of not asserting ourselves, of not feeling independent, of needing people to help us, of needing people to be in partnership with. So this can definitely kind of highlight some of those things that still need healing, that need resolving, that allows us to be autonomous and independent and assertive and bold and not always needing someone to hold our hand. So I think it's going to make us go a little bit deeper. It is Scorpio sun season after all, to face those fears, to get therapy, to process things below the surface, take the skeletons out of your closet, so you can, again, show up for people and yourself in a way that you desire. Now, on the 24th, the sun in Scorpio is going to square Pluto in Aquarius, okay? Just like Mercury did earlier in the month. So this is a day where we are going to put red, because Scorpio and Aquarius are fixed energies. These are areas of your birth chart and areas in the collective that don't like to be changed. And every single year, the sun will square Aquarius. But now that Pluto is there for the next 20 years, we're going to have this repeat over and over again. And squares bring tension. Things need to change. And I think Scorpio is going to reveal a lot of things, right? The sun is highlighting revelations. It's purging things. It's taking things out of the closet. And Pluto is helping us transform the collective through authenticity. And so I'm very curious what's going to come out in the news around that time. And then on that same day, Mercury is going to be in Scorpio, all that water energy, and he's going to trine Jupiter in Cancer. So again, another corner of that water trine being activated. And this is going to be a very favorable energy. We are given this the green light all day, because this allows our mind, Mercury, to expand Jupiter into new beliefs, into new thought processes, to learn new things. This is a great day to talk about sensitive subjects. This is a great day to be very productive in your thinking, of inspiration. I think people are going to see things and things are going to be revealed. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, wow, I can see it from that perspective. Or, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't learn that before. And then there's a lot of emotional intelligence that has to come around with you changing your belief systems, right? And your philosophies and your viewpoints on life, your perspective is starting to shift, and you're having the emotional intelligence to be able to process that. So very interesting to see that discovery. And then, of course, because we are dealing with that grand water trine, if Mercury is going to be communicating with Jupiter as he's in Scorpio, he's also then going to trine Saturn, who's in Pisces, the third water sign. Jupiter Cancer, Mercury Scorpio, Saturn in Pisces. And so again, we're going to make that a very favorable green energy because they're all working together. Saturn brings the discipline, the commitment to reprogram new foundations, right? More structure, great day for mental work, of getting things done. So again, very mercurial kind of month here. And then we have a couple days off and we get to the 28th as we end the month with Mars in Scorpio, who is going to trine Jupiter in Cancer. So he's literally following behind what Mercury is doing. So same thing, we get back into that massive water energy. So we're going to make that green, literally the same exact aspect that Mercury was making a few days prior. So again, if Mars is going to trine Jupiter, then he is also going to trine Saturn. However, that won't happen until the next day. So Mars in Scorpio, trine Saturn in Pisces. Again, same thing that Mercury is doing, very favorable. So now we are taking action. We are moving forward. We are learning new things. We're discovering new things. Our mind is being expanded. Now Mercury is being like, okay, we have a new thought process. We have new goals. We have new visions. We have new awareness. And now Mars is like, we're going to take action. We're going to make decisions. We're going to move forward. So this is where we start to recreate our reality and being brave and going into the unknown, right? Diving deep, Scorpio, even though we're afraid. Even though it feels vulnerable, even though it feels uncomfortable, we're like, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to move forward. And then while that's happening, because we know that Saturn is going to be next to Neptune, Mercury in Scorpio at the final degree, 29 degrees, will then trine Neptune in Pisces. So it's literally like Mars and Mercury. Over here, Saturn and Neptune. So 1, 2, 3, 4 planets, and then Jupiter over here. So 5 planets all kind of in this like harmonious conversation. So Massive, massive water energy in all communication working with each other. After that happens, immediately after that happens, we then have Mercury move into Sagittarius. So our mind shifts now into Sagittarius, more optimistic, more delusional, brutal truth telling. This is really where people are very honest, they're blunt, they're to the point. It's a very different shift of our mind, but it makes us feel a lot better. People can be a little storytelling, they can embellish things. Again, it's very like mind and Jupiter energy. And when that happens, don't forget, Mercury moves into Sag, 0 degrees, opposite Uranus and Gemini at 0 degrees. So not a good day to travel. I would definitely avoid traveling around this time. Tech glitches, things like that can most certainly happen. It'll feel like a very Mercury retrograde day. So let me mark that in here. We are going to have Mercury in Sagittarius opposing Uranus in Gemini. Very disruptive, breakdown, tech glitches, electrical outages, things like that. We're definitely making it red. That is a no-brainer. And then we end the month with Mercury again, so busy in Sagittarius, sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. And if you notice, this is the only sextile of the month. Sextiles are when the planets fuse together. This brings positivity. This brings optimism. This brings potential. We're going to make this one pink as we end the month. This is where we're going to see a lot of people waking up, new belief systems, new thought processes, changing their story, changing their beliefs, Pluto transforming the mind, expanding the mind. And so I think we end the month with a lot more awareness, a lot different perspective. We've seen some things, we've changed some things, we've loved some new people, we've met some new people, we've let go of some people, we've shifted our wounds, our Chiron, and all the other things that have happened this month. And we end it kind of on this high note as we move into November. So what I like about this month overall, when we look at the color coding, is we do have a lot of favorable energy with the green. We have a lot of favorable energy with the pink. We've got some retrograde shifting, but nothing really, really crazy. Things that we can work with, things that we can be aware of. So we'll break this down day by day in the Astro Weather Report. So I hope that you'll join us over there. Again, it's a month-to-month thing. We archive all the old workshops. So if you're still learning about astrology or you want to dive deeper into your birth chart, there's an entire workshop tab for you to catch up on. All the voice memos of the daily transits are archived, so you can go back to important days or things that happened to you during eclipse season. You can get caught up. And also know that everyone that's in there is part of the Astro family, so you get a discount code for readings on my courses, on anything that I offer. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You'll find all the information in the description box below. Make sure you subscribe and come back, because I do a lot of videos on relationships and using astrology in your favor for your partnerships. The Relational Astrology Podcast is live here and also on all other podcast platforms. So thank you so much for joining me today. I would be honored to do a cosmic download reading of the month for you if you are choosing to do the compatibility reading this month. And next month, we'll have a completely different theme. So love and light to all of you. Happy October, my Astro family. I will catch you in the next video or in the Astro Weather Telegram.